And there is one segment throughout the movie when they're at the juke joint where, it just really, I'll be honest, it made me proud to be black. I mean, I was proud to be black before this film, but this musical piece throughout them playing in the clubs really made me proud to be black, man. Hey, what's going on, folks? Another episode of Ryan Reviews Everything, and today I'm talking about one of my highly anticipated movies that I wanted to watch in 2025. We are talking about Sinners. This is another Ryan Coogler project starring, of course, Michael B. Jordan, and I swear that both of them can't miss. I really feel like Michael B. Jordan did a phenomenal job pulling off the twin brother role, and we'll get into this shortly. For those who aren't familiar with what the movie is about, it's about twin brothers who leave Chicago to return to their home in Mississippi to start a whole new life over, only to find out that some evil stuff awaits them, pretty much. And this was well done, man. I enjoyed this from start to finish. I felt like, yes, this is definitely in the horror movie genre. We got vampires and all this other stuff. But this was like extremely suspenseful. Like the tension from the tension is just throughout the entire movie. I will give like a trigger warning for those who may, get offended by racism or, if that makes you feel a certain type of way. I will give you a heads up. Granted, this is taking place in 1932, Mississippi. So you're talking about the South in the 1930s. Yeah, it has some racial stuff throughout the movie, racial tension throughout the movie. But I don't think it was too much, in my opinion. But there is some racial tension here and there. I'll just leave it at that. And yeah, man, like I said, I think Michael B. Jordan did a phenomenal job. The twin brothers' their nicknames is Smoke and Stack, and they go by the Smokestack twins. Simple as that. And one of the things I think that he did so well, Michael B. Jordan, is like, although they're twins, and normally, at least I'll speak for myself, normally if I see twins, and I'm sure like some other people, very hard to tell them apart. But just something but they was just very smart on how that you can make sure you could distinguish which twin was who. For example, Smoke was more of the person who didn't take, he was no nonsense. He wasn't really about any type of games. He wasn't with any type of jokes like that. Smoke seemed to be like the more serious between the two twins. Stack, on the other hand, had a completely different personality. He was definitely a badass. Both of them were badass. Like they were like gangsters, former military. But, Stack was, he could be more, I guess, for lack of a better word, he could be more of like a live wire, maybe more of a hothead, So that's really the difference. And also just visually, Stack, rocked the gold tooth, and I believe he wore like, seems to like favor red more so, while Smoke, a little more cool, calm, and collected, a little more low key, he rocked blue, no gold tooth, So that's another difference you could tell. But anyway, I felt like they did a phenomenal job of making sure the audience could tell who was who. Simple as that. And once again, this is a spoiler-free review. So I will say this, like a good portion of the movie, I don't feel like it was slow at all. Matter of fact, I feel like it added to the buildup. Like a good portion of the first half of the movie is, once again, since they're trying to come from Chicago and start a new life back home in Mississippi, they want to go into business for themselves and run a juke joint, which you see in the trailers. They run a juke joint, a little club. And in order to get this club popping, you need people to help it run. So they recruit their cousin, Preacher Boy, who's very nice when it comes to performing. They recruit Delroy Lindo, who is another talented performer. Smoke, I'm not sure if it's his wife or whatever the case is, but he recruits Annie, who's played by Wunmi Wasaku, for example. So Masaku, excuse me. And, so things like that. So the first half of the movie, you just see like this, all-star team of people that the twins are recruiting in order to make this club run. And then as we also see in the trailer, some vampires try to come through and spoil the party. So it is a very good time. And I also will say that one of the things that I thought was great, and once again, this is not a musical by far, but I felt like just the music aspect throughout the film was amazing as well. I'm talking about the score. I'm talking about certain performances from the supporting cast throughout this movie. For example, like I said, when they're recruiting people, they're specifically recruiting people who are very talented in music. Preacher Boy, by his nickname, is son of a preacher, but he loves the blues, this and the third. And there is one segment throughout the movie when they're at the juke joint where, it just really, I'll be honest, it made me proud to be black. I was proud to be black before this film, but this musical piece throughout them playing in the clubs really made me proud to be black, man. They're talking about all the type of cultural history that music covers when it comes to being black, and also cultural history from the Asian community as well, because there's a couple of Asian folks who are recruited to help run this club as well. So it is just a great time, and I may have said too much already, and for that I apologize. And once again, I really feel like, yeah, of course, Michael B. Jordan is the main draw, and he did a phenomenal job playing the twins, doing like a twin, dual role or whatnot. But the supporting cast in this thing was phenomenal. Delroy Lindo alone is such a legendary name. I feel like he may not get talked about enough, but he was phenomenal. Probably one of my favorite co-stars in this film. Wunmi Mosaku was extremely essential throughout the movie, and you'll see it. You'll know what I'm talking about when you see it. I think she played in Hawkeye. Haley Steinfeld, Steinfeld. My apologies, but Haley Steinfeld was also amazing. Just like the supporting cast, really, you can see how, like, yes, you got them. You got your main draw with the, somebody like a Michael B. Jordan. But this film also shows that, you got to have like the right cast of supporting people as well in order to make things work, man. I'm not, and once again, even though there is racial tension throughout this film, I don't think it's to the point to where, someone who's Caucasian would go in this film and feel offended, because once again, we're talking about the South in the 30s. So you can imagine, who some of the antagonists, villains could be throughout this, movie, at least at the beginning. So, yeah, man, I think it was a phenomenal time. And, for Ryan Coogler to appear to be around for so long, apparently this, this is actually only his 5th major project. We have Fruitville Station, Creed 1 and 2, or at least Creed 1 maybe. Black Panther, Wakanda, and then now we have Sinners. So, yeah, man, I feel like he knocked it out the park with this one. And one of the things, I saw an interview that Ryan Coogler did. He's emphasizing for those who are interested in the movie to go see it in the IMAX theater, because he is pointing out the fact that this was actually filmed on IMAX cameras. I mean, the heavy duty joints. So I know it may cost a little extra, but if you have the funds, why not go see it how it was supposed to be seen? I thought it was a great time, man. I highly suggest anyone who is not too squeamish about horror movies to go check it out. Matter of fact, I'm gonna see it again. Like, I saw it by myself, but I was ranting and raving about this movie so much that my wife is actually interested in seeing this as well. So I will go a second time on on a date night tip. And I bring it up because my wife is, she's not the biggest horror movie fan, but she also heard so much, hype about the movie that she actually will sit down and watch this for herself also. So we'll see how that goes. But that's my opinion. I think this was a phenomenal film through and through. I'll give you a heads up. You don't want to leave too quickly. When the credits come, there is a post-credit scene as well. So, don't leave before seeing that. And I really feel like they got a formula here where I could, I think I would love to see a sequel on this. So, love it or hate it. That's my review. Peace.